Today I'm gonna talk about video games in Qatar. But before I talk about video games in Qatar and such specific place, I gotta talk about what does video game mean and the history of video games and how they got here. So, what is video game? A video game is something that a player, a human, controls. It's basically a computer that allows you to interact with a picture. You move the picture, you control the picture, and make it do what you want. Sometimes they have limitations, sometimes they don't, but it's a video game. So, its history. When does it start? Well, basically, the thing you want to know is it started before the Second World War, but that thing isn't recorded, so it's pretty old. But the most famous ones are Pong and Space Invader, which are started in the 70s, 73 and 72 by Japanese developers. So these are the starts of video games. They looked pretty basic and didn't have much to do, but it was fun for that time. So these were played in arcade stations, which were really big and cost a lot of money to play one session in. One session would be like 10 minutes or 20 minutes a game. So it wasn't much, but it was something in the 70s. So those are considered the golden ages of games because they opened the door to a lot of new games. And in America, a lot of consoles got developed. A lot of small machines that allow you to play in the home, which was something revolutionary for them. And it allowed for so many companies to get into a new industry that no one knew about. No one even knew about what video games mean, because it was all board games and stuff that you do in real life. So it wasn't videos, it wasn't electronic. So in America, they had something called the Super Nintendo, which basically is considered as the grandpa of all games now. So it was the most famous console in America and made a huge success with the with the SNES, which is from another company, but
okay, stop it now.
So the Super Nintendo was the most successful console in America because it allowed people to play in home, and its contender, the Famicom, which wasn't very famous, but it brought some money to the companies who made it in America. But we want to talk about what got here. What are the first consoles that got here and made money, real money? So when did Qatar get imports such as video games and other luxuries of other countries? Well, Qatar got it all when in the 70s too, but it got a bit late because in the 70s they discovered natural gas and oil. It's really fascinating how much natural gas they discovered, because they discovered in the 70s, early 70s, specifically 1971, 2.5 trillion cubic feet of natural gas in underground. Like, that's a lot of money, a lot of money. So it has today been discovered that it has 14% of the world's reserve of natural gas. So it's the most country with natural gas. And of course the petroleum discovery also helped in importing other luxuries. But the first consoles to make it here were the fourth generation, not the first. Were the fourth generation of Japanese and American equally. It was the Sega Genesis that made it here first. So of course you all know the Sega Genesis and its popular games. All of them like Sonic, Aladdin, and Mortal Kombat, which all made a huge impact on our culture and the world's culture in general. And other than the Sega Genesis, many other companies saw great investment to come here and begin the game industry in here. So they could be the first ones, and the first ones means that they made the most money from the Arabian region and Qatar specifically. And after all that, after the Sega came in and Qatar became one of the Arabian countries that allowed games to be played and stuff like that. So not only did it get nowadays, not only does it get consoles, but it gets also the newest consoles and the stuff that comes out from America directly. So when you talk about video games now, when you talk about video consoles and how video games are distributed here now, you know that the PlayStation is one of the most successful consoles, not in just Qatar, but also the Arabian Gulf and everything related to Arabs. So at first, not many people knew about the PlayStation, but since it's comfortable and very dependent design and new design, the Arabians liked it a lot. And even some of the locals didn't pay much attention to how small the PlayStation was wrote and how big the Sony was wrote, so they began calling it Sony instead of PlayStation, and it kind of stuck with it. Even the PlayStation 2 and 3 and the new PlayStation 4, they still call it Sony because that's how they got to know it. But most people call it PlayStation Sony now. Anyways, as the years come and go, everything changed. So when in the 70s, it was just a desert that no one knew about, and now it's one of the most developed upcoming countries of the third world. So it's kind of a new country is coming to the scene of consumer related stuff, and it will allow Qatar to import more stuff in the future. And okay, as I was saying, as PlayStation 1 went along and now became an old console, one of the first consoles that made big impact on Qatar's video gaming society, also came with it new stores that sell not only video games but music and also movies and Blu-ray movies and all the new stuff that's coming from foreign countries. Specifically, some stores made it so good investments and so good economical choices that they now are famous in the entirety of Qatar. Stores like Al-Saqab, Technopark, Ra'ayat Qaniya, and Persian Games. Those are now the first stores and the only stores that are considered to sell video games and movies and stuff that's imported from foreign countries, mainly America. And since then, new issues started to come, issues that weren't from the past. The main issue and the almost only issue is when they import stuff, people make something called a gray market, where it's still a legal market, but it has some issues, like what happened with a famous game called Call of Duty Black Ops 2. They imported it before the release, and that's normal. But the problem is they sell it also before the release, which is kind of illegal. But since the government here still doesn't count that as a part of issues that need fixing, so they just passed it aside as something minor. Well, it really cost the Sony's company and the developing companies of the games some serious money. They would gain almost 15% more income if the gray market didn't exist. And that's all. Thanks for listening.
Okay.